The knight was seated in a curious silver chair, to which he was bound by his ankles, his knees, his elbows, his wrists, and his waist. There was sweat on his forehead, and his face was filled with anguish. The knight yelled,
"Quick, I am sane now. Every night I am sane. If only I could get out of this enchanted chair, it would last. I should be a man again, but every night they bind me, and so every night my chance is gone. But you are not enemies, and I am not your prisoner. Quick, cut these cords."
So you famously said in an interview that you wouldn't reform Silverchair for $1 million and a gun to your head, which I laughed really hard when you said that. But because I thought you were just being melodramatic.
Oh, what?
But I know that it was jarring to a lot of fans. Do you regret saying it that way? Do you wish you framed it differently?
I regret everything. But, to contextualize that, okay. I'm going to feel bad about saying this, so I'm going to say it as nicely as I can. I was really clear with everyone when I left Silverchair that we weren't getting back together. And I had, in the past, thought that I wanted to leave Silverchair and change my mind. So my manager at the time quite intelligently suggested we say just we're on an indefinite hiatus. But I made it very clear to the other two that it's over, but I didn't want to close that door or break anyone's heart in case I changed my mind. But I made it very clear to Ben and Chris. And then Ben actually went out of his way to say we're definitely getting back together while I was in the middle of a promotional tour for my first record tour, which I thought was really unfair to Silverchair fans. And I was caught in this, like, who am I supposed to appease here? When I was in a situation where I was really trying to protect our legacy, because Silverchair is really important to me. You know, I pretty much gave up my childhood for that. And I thought it was really unfair to keep dangling a carrot in front of people that supported us, knowing full well that I was never going back. So me being me, I said I wouldn't get Silverchair back together for $1 million with a gun to my head.
I think sometimes people don't realize the cultural impact of Silverchair. You guys were the youngest ever performers on Saturday Night Live, which is a massive deal.
I didn't know that until recently.
They don't just ask anybody to play on that show. And, you know, for 3 young regional Australian kids, this must have been just so surreal.
It was surreal. It's more surreal now. At the time, it was just, it's a hard thing to articulate because that's just what we were doing. We didn't really have time to think about the significance of it or what it all meant. So at the time it was just, oh, now we're playing a television show in America.
Yeah.
That's as far as my brain would let itself go. But we were also from a regional place in Australia. We weren't even used to city life.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's Sydney, it was a big deal.
Like, here's New York, you know?
Yeah, we're doing the rounds around, you know, America was like this mystical land.
Yeah.
So like, even just being there was bizarre. And on a tour bus, which you only see in Led Zeppelin movies. Mm-hmm. So shit, we're doing this. And then, yeah, that whole thing was just such a trip.
I don't think people understand that you were just a kid. You know, your brain isn't even fully formed until you're about 25 years old. And when you get famous that young and people treat you differently and you're kind of in a tornado and so much is outside of your control.
Yeah, I know that it had an effect on me. I didn't come down in the last rain shower, but that's all that I know. But I do know when I see when I hang out with other people that I've missed significant developmental paths. I've developed this skill which I really nurtured, and I've just left a lot of stuff. I didn't know that was being neglected until it was kind of too late. But I wouldn't. I honestly don't think I'd change it. I wanted to be an artist from when I was a kid, so. Hey,
here we are.
Here
we are.
It's not all roses. It's fucking hard. But careful what you wish for, hey.
So I don't know if you've been asked this before, but in 1995, there were 2 American teenagers who killed one of the boy's parents and his 5-year-old brother, and they blamed it on your song, Israel's Son. You were just 16 years old when this was all happening. And how did you feel when this was going on? Did you take it? Did you internalize this at all?
Yeah, I didn't realise at the time, but I did. At the time, I was still, I guess, it affected me, but I had to act like it didn't, and I had to also. I couldn't acknowledge it. I guess that was part of the pattern. Like, if I acknowledged that could interrupt. Talk about having blinders on. I was like, that is fucked up, and that's going to fuck me in the future, but for now I've got this to do. I didn't realise that would continue to happen for a really long time, and I'd just push everything away and just focus on the music. It's pretty devastating to write a song when you're a teenager and then like have someone's lives taken because apparently it influenced the people to murder someone. That's too much. I don't like that people look to me for guidance in my songs. I don't like it. So I don't even know where this ship is going. You know, I know where it's been and I write about it, and then when I make predictions, a lot of the time they happen, but I don't know that I'm making a prediction. I think I'm making, I hugged a man's arthritic shoulder from across the Nile. I didn't have arthritis. Never even had a inkling of that. And then I got arthritis and I started getting scared of shit that I was writing about. Mm-hmm. So I just, next record I'm just going to write about winning the lottery or something.
Putting together this album and making the decision to sort of do a reimagined take on Freak with Freak Never.
Yeah, when Dan called me about Freak Never, he called me up, and it was the last track he did before the record. And he had some kind of wacky reference, which isn't a shock with Dan, but it was like, it's got to be like super creepy and weird and like Broadway-esque, but also have the original darkness, but also have like kind of hopeful element, but it has to be mainly creepy. And he brings in Purple Girl, which no one knew who that was. She comes in and it's like a little jetpack or something. I don't remember, maybe had a cape on. She was cool. She didn't say much. She was just like, let's get to work, which was cool. Sat down there. She was very, very quick in the studio. We were there for about 3 or 4 minutes, did one take, out the door. We were like, oh, okay, well, who is this person? It's very mysterious, again. Not surprising how it turned out. Like, it was very, it fit the bill of exactly what Dan was after. He was after the creepy, mysterious thing, and the vocal we found to be exactly like that pretty much straight away.
Gotham, Metropolis, Central City. None of these places are real. Imagine people, fake places, and pretend heroes with mythical powers, dreamt up by men with pens. But the streets of Newcastle are as real as it gets, and a real city needs a real hero. When the sun goes down, my lights go on. While your children sleep soundly in their beds at night, I'm singing a lullaby for the city. Understand that the mask doesn't just protect the girl, but the people. My name is Purple Girl. I'm 11 years old, and I'm a freak.
I mean, it's a beautiful song with an 11-year-old collaborator just singing so beautiful. Yeah, Purple Girl.
Yeah, she's
haunting
incredible.
and amazing.
Yeah.
So can you talk about the reason why you wanted to do a different reimagined version?
The concept of the record was to take everything from the past and imagine it in the future and hopefully become some kind of fantastical version of the present. I think Freak as a song, I don't think it is the absolute embodiment of me as a teenager, but in a few ways it kind of is. That was the first lyric, I think, that I really am talking about my disillusionment with fame. And the first time that I really thought this thing is bullshit, that I thought as a kid was the pinnacle. And I knew that at an early age that it was bullshit. And it's the first lyric that kind of, I guess, tries to encapsulate that feeling. And a lot of the lyrics on the record are about, I don't want this bit, I want this bit. I just want to be an artist. I don't want to be this guy on the cover of newspapers and, you know, in TV shows. And I don't know, I always felt the celebrity aspect was really lame. There's a difference between being well known for your work and being a celebrity. And well known for my work is nice. Being a celebrity sucks. Mm-hmm. And I'd never wanted it, and I don't have any respect for it.
While you've been in this recovery process, there was quite a stir online, and Ben made some comments about your genius status that fans often say about you. And he said that he reserves the term genius for Einstein and Mozart, and that without orchestration from other people, that your songs are simple. How does that?
Did he say that?
He said that. How does that make you feel?
I feel like he raised a couple of good points at the start, but he kind of fell by the wayside by the end. Like, to be honest, I've tried to mend that bridge. I've tried, and I've gone out of my way to speak positively about him. Even when I did my podcast, I went out of my way to speak positively because I didn't want to do any harm to our legacy. So I don't know, if he wants to be like that, it doesn't affect me. I'm not going to get offended and go, but I am a genius.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me at all. The entire White album's pretty simple, and I would consider that genius.
Yep.
Every Clash album, particularly London Calling, like, they're simple. So that shit's hard. Who the fuck knows what genius is?
Yeah.
I don't consider myself a genius.
So I did get to see Silverchair in 2008 when you guys were doing the Young Modern promotion at Lollapalooza, and also the same year that Kanye was playing as well. And Kanye West has cited your album Young Modern as being a big influence for him.
And let people discover it, let people argue. Y'all don't realize the more y'all arguing, the more it's like I'm a brand new artist. I feel like the way I felt at the College Dropout when people was dissing my raps. It's people dissing stuff again. It's good to challenge yourself. Put yourself in a situation where you're not the king of your castle. Go to a completely different arena and say, man, I want to go up against Silverchair.
That's crazy, hey. I still actually can't, I still don't believe it.
Yeah.
Even though people have shown me. I would say, I can't believe that. I love Kanye West. Actually, there's a lot of things that he talks about, and I know this could be controversial, but I think he raises a lot of good points, particularly around mental illness. I've had similar thoughts. I think I don't want to quote him, but he said something like, sometimes the way people treat mental health is similar to if you got an Olympic sprinter with a broken ankle and forcing him to run. And he said it right at a time where I was feeling that as far as culturally relevant artists in our lifetime, I can't think. We should consider ourselves lucky.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he's extraordinary.
Yeah. So something else that happened in your career, and I'm a massive Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, and I actually told Flea I was coming to talk to you, and he just talked about how much he loved when, you guys opened up for them at Madison Square Garden, and that you were just very sweet. So what do you remember from that time?
Oh, that was amazing. I really loved Flea. He was so kind to us, as they all were, actually. They didn't need to be. We were like kids. I think I don't know the chronology of how that worked, but I think it was our first big tour. I think maybe we did like 3 shows in America, club shows, and then the next thing was like stadiums with the Chili Peppers, and it was so bizarre. And they were amazing, and they were so nice to us. That's another thing that feels like another lifetime. One thing that really stands out in my mind was when I was in the, I was in the seated bit of the arena. One show I went out and watched them out the front, and they played Suck My Kiss, and it was just like so electric. Like it felt like drugs. It was like the whole place was just vibrating, and it was so intensely good that kind of really stuck with me. And then I tried to do that.
Oh my God. And what about opening up the MTV Music Awards before
that.
Michael Jackson was playing?
I'm not sure, but
Okay.
I remember it. I remember doing it, and once again, it felt like we shouldn't be there, but I knew it was important. But it also felt like, well, they've got this wrong. Like, why are we here?
Must be a mistake.
But I remember I wasn't as scared as Saturday Night Live. I remember for some reason that felt a bit more normal because we were outside. I don't know why. I don't know what was happening in my head, but there were so many of those moments in our career really early that it was almost desensitizing. So big events felt normal. Now when I look back, I go, God damn, I couldn't do that now. Because now I know that it's a big deal.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Do you ever think there's any chance of you performing live again?
I would never say never, but it's not likely. I would never say never.
Yeah.
Why would I? I don't like putting labels on stuff. It gets me in trouble. And it also, I try now to avoid any boundaries or anything that resembles a cage or a restriction. That's the shit that makes me go internal and makes me go crazy. So I'm not saying never, but it's unlikely. I wouldn't get Daniel Johns back together for $50 million with a gun to my head.
Fair enough. So we've spoken a lot about the past and about the album Future Never, and I'm just curious, what is next? What do you have coming up?
We've got some stuff, not the least of which is what was originally going to be a short film, but now I think the terminology is featurette, called What If the Future Never Happened, with the one and only Erasmus King playing me as a 14-year-old. Which happens to be another quite prophetic piece in and of itself, where he meets a version of himself in the future. And ironically, I'm giving a young me advice as to how to deal with the what's coming. I think it's a really important piece of work for this moment in my career, to be able to look at yourself, I guess, before I got famous, pretty much. It was right when things were starting to take off, and give myself advice from a place, where I was currently at that time. The future never fucks me up. It's such a weird, complex concept, but it seems to be the more that we delve into it, the more it unwraps itself, which is scary in a good way. People shouldn't expect like a biopic or like my life on film. It is a specific time in my life with a phantasmical element. So don't write it and go, oh, you should have focused more on something that happened later, because it's me as a kid before things kind of blew up. And some wizardry thrown in.
Good long look at your future, tadpole.
He's a freak.
Oh my gosh, do you remember the first time you saw Rasmus's audition tape and what you thought about it?
Yeah, he's such an incredible, talented actor. He really is, like, incredible. he could see me starting to crumble and getting anxiety during a scene particularly. And I was starting to really get anxious, and it was 40-something degrees. I was wearing this massive fake fur jacket full of lights, and it was hot. I felt like I was boiling, and then chuck an anxiety attack on top of that, and I was sitting there about to crumble, and he talked me through it. As a kid, that's amazing to have that kind of insight. It was just like, I know what's happening here. It kind of coached me out of it. I went and had a moment, came back to it. So it was almost, in a weird way, it was like he knew what he was going to go through. You know, it still confuses me to this moment how poignant that whole situation is and was.
It's almost like a 14-year-old you giving you advice. It was all very meta, you know?
I think you said it better than that's what I was trying to say. It ended up role reversing. And then the real Raz was giving the actual me at that time the advice that me playing the actual me was giving to my younger self, which was so David Lynch.
Yeah.
And we didn't script it.
We are here at the Past, Present, Future, Never exhibition, getting a sneak peek here in Melbourne. And it's still very much a work in progress, and they had to kind of block everything out so that no one can peek in and see the amazing structures that they're building. There is so much stuff in here. I'm talking Daniel's entire life. We're gonna be able to look at school reports, his driving test is here. There's every single Silverchair shirt that has ever existed, and so much more. So I'm super excited for you to come take a sneak peek with me. Come on.